It's time to buckle up for a spine-tingling exploration of history's darkest secrets. Discover the sinister methods the Nazis used to execute their genocidal agenda, leaving millions of lives shattered. The Nazi decision to employ gas chambers in executing one of the most heinous genocidal campaigns in human history was driven by a combination of factors, all rooted in their extreme ideology. By 1939, Adolf Hitler's totalitarian rule over Germany was absolute, and the Nazi Party wielded unchecked power. Fueled by virulent anti-Semitism, Hitler had successfully convinced many Germans that the Jewish population was responsible for societal ills. However, Hitler's hatred extended beyond Jews to include Roma, homosexuals, and those with disabilities, whom he deemed unfit for German society. The Nazis sought efficient means to capture and exterminate these targeted groups, leading to the inception of the so-called Euthanasia Program in 1939. Despite its misleading name, this program was a mass murder campaign primarily targeting institutionalized patients, far removed from any notion of euthanasia as commonly understood. Euthanasia typically involves the painless ending of a terminally ill patient's life or one in an irreversible coma with consent or medical assessment. However, the Nazis perverted this concept, using it as a guise for large-scale murder. They viewed disabled individuals as financial and genetic burdens on the state and society, justifying their extermination. The Nazis used tricky words and soft phrases to hide their terrible deeds. They started their plan to wipe out certain groups of people by killing children one by one, showing how evil they were. In the spring of 1939, Hitler's private chancellery director Philipp Bohler and his attending physician Karl Brandt devised the initial blueprint for what would later be known as the Euthanasia Program. On August 18, 1939, the Reich Ministry of the Interior mandated that all medical practitioners report infants under 3 exhibiting physical or mental disabilities to the state. Shortly after, parents were encouraged to admit their disabled children to purported special pediatric clinics in Germany and Austria. However, the reality was far grimmer than what parents were led to believe. These clinics were in truth centers for mass murder, where staff employed specifically for this purpose would execute children under their care through starvation or lethal doses. As time progressed, older children were also admitted to these facilities. At least 10,000 disabled German children fell victim to the euthanasia program, although the actual number may never be fully known. The process of killing disabled children, reprehensible as it was, proved to be time and resource intensive, prompting the orchestrators of this atrocity to extend their cruelty to adult patients. This expansion led to the inception of the T4 campaign, which marked a significant escalation in the scale of targeted killings. In a disturbing turn, the Nazis introduced gas chambers for mass murder under the guise of this campaign. 6 gassing centers were established across Germany, including Bernberg, Brandenburg, Grafenegg, Hadamar, Hartheim, and Sonnenstein. Despite their sinister purpose, these facilities were not called gassing centers in official communications. The victims were transported to these centers based on responses to questionnaires distributed to hospitals, with particular emphasis on their ability to work. Those deemed unfit for full participation in the labor force were earmarked for transportation and subsequent extermination. Initially, pure carbon monoxide was used in the killing chambers. To deceive the victims, the chambers were disguised as showers. After the murders, the bodies were incinerated in adjacent crematoria, and the ashes were randomly placed in urns for distribution to their families. The Nazis, in an attempt to conceal the true nature of the killings, falsified death certificates, citing fictional or natural causes. Despite efforts to veil their actions, knowledge of the gas chambers spread among the German populace, sparking protests and condemnation from some members of the clergy. Under mounting pressure, Hitler temporarily halted the euthanasia program in August 1941. However, by then, tens of thousands of institutionalized patients had already perished. For the Nazis, the program was a chilling success, laying the groundwork for the utilization of gas chambers on a much larger scale during the Holocaust and World War II. Moreover, the use of gas vans by the Einsatzgruppen during the invasion of the Soviet Union further demonstrated the Nazis' willingness to employ any means necessary to achieve their genocidal objectives. Following the sealing of the chamber entrance, men, women, and children were trapped inside as a masked soldier opened a vent on the roof to release Zyklon B pellets into the chamber. Once the pellets were dispensed, the vent was closed, completely sealing off the gas chamber. With no means of escape and the toxic gas filling the air, Victims, already tightly packed inside, would suffocate and die within a matter of minutes. Once the soldiers outside believed they were all deceased, the chamber was ventilated for approximately 15 minutes to clear out the toxic air. During the peak deportations to Auschwitz in 1943 and 44, the gas chambers, including Zyklon B, claimed the lives of an average of 6,000 Jewish individuals and others each day. Some of the Jewish deportees were designated as members of the Sonderkommando, sparing them immediate death but subjecting them to another form of torment. These Sonderkommando members were tasked with the gruesome duty of entering the gas chambers after each gassing. Witnessing the harrowing aftermath, they were compelled to separate the lifeless bodies using poles and hose down the gas chambers, all under the watchful eye of their Nazi captors. In addition to their harrowing duties, the Sonderkommando members were tasked with the gruesome job of cremating the bodies of their fellow Jewish victims, salvaging any valuables like gold fillings and jewelry, as well as collecting women's hair. The ashes of the victims were then disposed of in nearby rivers. The Sonderkommando men pulverized any remaining bones and also disposed of them in the river or landfills. Marcel Nanjari, a Greek Jew and former resident of the Thessaloniki, who was coerced into the Sonderkommando, meticulously documented the horrors of Auschwitz, revealing the stark reality behind the Nazi facade. Describing the gas chamber facilities, Nanjari explained that victims entered the chambers naked, were locked in and then gassed, enduring agonizing suffering before their eventual death. Despite the Nazis' efforts to deceive victims by disguising the gas chambers as showers and even installing fake shower heads, the truth of the atrocities perpetrated at Auschwitz could not be concealed. Gas canisters were discreetly delivered by German Red Cross vehicles, with SS men overseeing the operation before the grim task of disposing of the bodies commenced. Najari's first-hand accounts, hidden in buried letters near the crematorium, provide a chilling insight into the horrors of Auschwitz. Although he survived, many of his fellow Sonderkommando members perished, some in failed attempts at revolt against their captors. Gas chambers were instrumental in the deaths of millions of Jewish victims, Roma, homosexuals, disabled individuals, and others across Auschwitz and numerous extermination camps. While precise figures may never be known, historians estimate that approximately 6 million Jewish people and 5 million others lost their lives during the Holocaust, with the vast majority perishing in gas chambers. Reflecting on this dark chapter of history serves as a reminder of the depths of human depravity and the importance of bearing witness to these atrocities. Let it also stand as a stark rebuttal to any resurgence of Nazi ideology in the modern world. As we reflect on the horrors of the Holocaust, let's also draw inspiration from the courage and resilience of those who resisted Nazi tyranny, whether through acts of defiance, solidarity, or simple acts of humanity. Their stories remind us of the power of compassion, empathy, and solidarity in the face of unimaginable evil. In closing, while the subject matter may be difficult to confront, it is only by acknowledging and understanding the darkest chapters of our history that we can hope to prevent such atrocities from ever happening again. Let us use these lessons of the past to build a better, more just future for all. And that wraps up today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to drop your ideas for our upcoming videos in the comment section. Your input is always valued. See you soon.